Here's the pitch. Line drive, there it is! Into left field! Hit number 3,000! A run is scored! Musial ran first, on his way to second with a double! Holy cow!
Hank Gibson is one strike away from the no-hitter. He takes off his cap. He mops his brow. He looks in and gets the sign. He starts the windup. Here's the pitch, and it's a strike called! A no-hitter for Gibson! Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go! Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won the game by the score of 3-2 on a home run by the Wizard.
Breaking ball, hit off the pitcher, to the third baseman, down play, base hit, 3,000 for a home run.
Breeze hits it in the air to center. We will see you tomorrow night.
Shooter from the belt to the plate, a swing and a miss, and that's the winner! That's the winner! A World Series winner for the Cardinals!
Left center, Bader, diving catch, what a play! Carpenter with a drive, into left center, at the wall, gone! It's gone! Three-run homer, Carpenter! DeYoung with a drive, into deep left, at the track, at the wall, gone! Cardinals have the lead! The 2-2. Fowler swings and sends a ball into the right field corner. Hayward up and over the fence. Hayward got a glove on it. But Dexter Fowler has just walked it on. Michaelis with a drive. Deep left field. First career hit. Gone! A home run. He does it in style. A two-run shot for his first major league hit. Julio to the drive. Into center. It's at the wall. Look it up. A remarkable comeback for the Cardinals. Here's a 1-2 pitch. And a strikeout. Ponce de Leon, his first strikeout in the major leagues. There he goes, and Molina from his knees. Oh, my! Wow!
Hi, I'm Miles Michaelis,
This is Marshall Falk,
and you're listening
and you're listening
to The Usual Suspects.
to The Usual Suspects.
Well, what's up, guys? I'm Brad,
And I'm Aaron.
and you're watching The Usual Suspects. I am just trying to get everything sent out here and then talk to people in chat because we like when people talk in chat. What
Today's the
a
perfect day for it. The Cardinals have the night off. Come, join us.
yes, join us. Come
talk to
join us. The claw is wise. It chooses who will stay and who will go. Hey, it's Caleb and Dakota and Darren. Hey, guys, what's up? Glad to see you guys. Hopefully you guys will join in the conversation. There's a lot of positive things to talk about. A lot of weird things have been happening and weird things that have happened that would have happened, like if it would have happened earlier in the season, it wouldn't have broke our way, but they've broke our way this time. And then I've got a fun video from Joey Votto because boy, oh boy. So anyway, Aaron, is there anything you want to do first, or do you want to just jump right into like the socials?
We can just jump into the socials.
All right, let's jump into the socials. All right, so the first socials I want you to see are our names. I'm Brad. You can follow me on Twitter at RangeBrad. You can follow Aaron at AaronMSTL on Twitter. And then we also have the Mutual Suspects Twitter handle, which is @mutual_suspects. Follow us on Twitter. We're not live on Twitter tonight because Twitter and Periscope's no more, and we're having password troubles logging our Twitter account in. So you got to
I'll
basically
have to reset it. We figured this out like 30 minutes beforehand. Like I had just gotten home, so I was like, we'll do it. I'll do it.
Or we didn't
later
figure it
tonight.
out. Also, we're on Facebook, so some of you are watching on Facebook, facebook.com/mutualsuspects. If you're watching on YouTube, head on over to facebook.com/mutualsuspects, give us a like and a follow. And if you're on Facebook, head on over to YouTube, search Mutual Suspects. Make sure it's Mutual Suspects, not Musical Suspects. And give us a like, a follow, and a subscribe over there, and it'll help us grow our numbers. And hopefully, we can reach more people and share the good news of the Cardinals nation. So anyway, for some reason, I'm only coming in on your left channel. I don't know what to tell you about that. I might need to adjust my audio settings, and that's something that I can't do while we're up on the stream.
No bueno.
Well, every now and then when Windows updates does a big update, it switches back and it takes you back to mono and takes you off of some of the stereo settings and all that other stuff. Is Aaron coming in on both channels?
Probably not.
I'll look at this real quick over here.
Yeah, I went to my audio settings, and there's not a whole lot I can do on my end. I'm literally using my phone, so.
Manage sound devices. No, that's not it. Advanced sound options. Nope. Aaron, why don't you go ahead while I'm doing this? Why don't you go ahead and share with them, what's going on?
My
what we're going to talk about. Yeah, what we're going to talk about.
So the Cardinals keep winning, which is awesome. It is really funny looking back, because I remember, at this point it's probably been a month and a half, 2 months. I remember tweeting out, for the Cardinals to make it to the second wild card. I'm predicting probably around 90 wins. And I think they had to go 37-19 during that stretch. And I'm like, I do not see it. Well, 16-game winning streak enters the chat.
Yeah.
They may not even need 90 to reach the playoffs, but I think going in the next 6 games, they have to go 3-3. And then they win 90 games. It's that's pretty remarkable, all things considered. I mean, it took it took history being made for us to feel good about this team, which is it's weird, because you can't expect a 16-game winning streak every year to get your team back in it. But it's weird, because I'm beginning to see more and more potential parallels to the 2011 team. I still think that the big three that the 2011 team had still outperforms our current three, but I am really curious to look at those three guys being Goldschmidt, Arenado, and O'Neill. I want to see what their combined numbers are for the last 2 months, because the last 2 months those guys have been absolutely rock solid. Paul Goldschmidt is playing himself into some MVP talks. I don't know how many votes he's going to get, but his offensive numbers have looked fantastic as of late. You've got now 3 30 home run hitters. Tyler O'Neill, man, I am so glad that the Cardinals held on to him. I wanted to hold on to him anyway, but I remember even a couple of years ago when there were talks of they're gonna get rid of O'Neill or Bader. I was I would prefer to give up O'Neill. Well, now I'm just glad that they kept on to both of them. Because speaking of outfield production, holy crap, as good as Harrison Bader was in July, his August was equally terrible, but he's quietly put together an even better September.
Yeah.
His September is better than his July was. His August was just that bad that his yearly numbers are still kind of okay. But, his September has been absolutely terrific. It's been really, really similar to his July. And you almost want to believe that that's more of his actual trajectory. But, I tweeted this out earlier today. If you look at his stats month by month, it's okay, May, he had a 217 average, a 730 OPS. It's not terrible. It's not great, but, it is what it is.
Yeah.
He was out in June with injury, and then he comes back in July, has an OPS over 1,000. Dude's hitting he's absolutely raking. And then August, he had a 400 OPS. It was such a significant drop off. But then coming back into September, he's got an OPS of 1,055 in September.
Yeah, what do you think? Why do you think that is? What is it about him that?
Dude, I have no idea. I can tell you, if you look at, because he won Player of the Week.
Right.
He won Player of the Week this week. hitting 517 or 571. It was one of the two, but like he was hitting over 500 for the week with an OPS of like 1500. I'm like, yeah, that'll do it. Like
that'll do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if like this winning streak. It's like, but like I don't know if the winning streak is like kind of like kickstarted him a little bit. But like if you look at the last like 7 to 10 games, staggering.
Yeah.
Because the other night, I think it was 2 nights ago, I was looking at it because I've got that rolling bet going on with Gino. I made that my pin tweet. It's still there, saying, "Oh, Bader's going to be one of the most valuable guys on the team. He's going to hit 20 home runs. He's probably not going to get that, but considering his amount of at bats and amount of home runs, I'm still feeling pretty confident with the pick.
He can't be that far off from 20 home runs, though, can he?
He's 15.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
it's unlikely that he's going to hit 5 because here's the thing: he's hit 3. He's hit 1 in the last 3 straight games.
Yeah,
I would argue it's unlikely that he's going to hit 9 straight games with a home run. It's possible. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see him hitting 20. But if you look at the amount of at bats that he had, it's like,
yeah.
It wouldn't shock me if you give him a 550, 600 bat season if he's hitting 20 or more home runs.
Yeah.
And the other night he went like 4 for 4.
Yeah.
It didn't like I just looked at the game and I'm like, oh, the Cardinals won. Oh, cool. Let me look at the box score. I'm like, oh my god! Like Bader went 4 for 4. He raised his average up to like 270.
Yeah.
And his OPS is back up to like 780. I'm like, guys, that plays.
Yeah. It absolutely does.
Regardless of your position. Like, it's totally playable.
Yeah.
But the fact that he adds his defense in center field, I'm like, homeboy, like, your outfield is set for the next 5 to 10 years with O'Neill, Bader, and Carlson.
Right.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah. And to me, his defense is why it plays, and then everything you get from him offensively is just bonus and cherry on top and all that other fun stuff.
Like obviously I don't have it in front of me. I need to get a computer and invest and just leave it right here so that I can do all this at the same time. But I'm pretty sure if you go on Fangraphs or if you go on Baseball Reference and look at OPS plus or weighted runs created plus, it's over 100, which means it's above league average. He's hitting at a higher clip than average and providing you Gold Glove level defense. Fantastic. Absolutely phenomenal. I saw somebody post earlier today. I think it was Ben Carruti on Twitter. Posted I think it was like Baseball Reference 650 WAR. Like, oh, if they all reach 650 plate appearances, this is what their WAR would be type of deal.
Yeah.
And pretty much everyone is like kind of solid. Like even because everyone hates DeYoung. Even DeYoung for like 650 at bats or plate appearances, whichever, had I believe it was like a 3.9 WAR. I'm like, that's still really good. like I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah.
Like the entire team, especially in the last month, has certainly peaked. And that's one of the things we've talked about for years is that no one peaks at the same time. Like, it's like, oh, these guys are okay for a couple days, and then they kind of flip-flop. Well, right now, literally everyone on the team is like, they're all firing. Like,
well, they've either peaked or they are peaking. Which, if you're gonna peak, this is the time of year you want to start peaking. Quick question for you: they've won 16 in a row. Would you rather them lose before getting into the playoffs, or do you want them to take the whole winning streak into the playoffs?
I want them to take it into the playoffs and then through the playoffs.
Okay, so you just want them to win out, just every game.
Phenomenal. Because here's the thing: the reason that I say that is because we need history, right?
Right.
If they finish the regular season out on this winning streak, all they'll do is tie the major league record. But you know what's better than that? Not losing again this year.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that means we get a World Series win, and holy cow, if we do that. Keep her going.
Like, just beat Tampa Bay in the World Series. Let's go.
I'm sorry. It's not going to be Tampa Bay.
I don't know.
It's going to be the Red Sox. The Cardinals will play the Red Sox in the World Series if the Cardinals make the World Series, it'll be against the Red Sox.
I don't know.
Don't ask me why I know that. I just know that.
That AL East is stacked, dude. Like,
yes.
I looked at it today. The run differential for Toronto, who's in 4th place,
Yeah.
it's like plus 225. I'm like, how are you in 4th place?
Well,
it's like they
Tampa
lose
Bay
2-1 and then they win 14-2. Like, good.
Tampa Bay, the Yankees, Boston, they're all in the same division. And then then you throw who is it? The Orioles in there. The Orioles are historically bad, as are the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks aren't good. They've got 50 wins.
Now, and I don't want to say I don't want to say this, and I don't know if I agree with this completely, but I'm just going to say this anyway. When you start looking at okay, so you've got the AL East, which is really good, and then you've got one team that's bad. Do they benefit from having that bad team in their division on an unbalanced schedule? And then you can look at you kind of have a similar situation in the NL West, where San Francisco and the Dodgers are just absolutely cleaning house, and then you've got the Diamondbacks out there.
But you've also got Colorado, who's terrible.
Yes. So do those, with an unbalanced schedule, are they as good as they look on paper, or is some of that unbalanced schedule?
I mean, you got to look at those teams' records against Baltimore.
Yeah.
And see how many of their wins are coming from Baltimore. But at the same time, the fact that all 4 of those teams have as good of records as they do, considering the other level of talent, because you got 4 teams in that division that could be playoff teams.
Oh, absolutely.
And the fact that all 4 of them are still in the conversation to some extent just show they're kind of just beating up on each other, but also taking care of business outside of the division to even be in the conversation, whereas Baltimore's just trash.
Yeah.
I want to see their records against one another. We've got this new guy at Play It Again. I worked at Play It Again today, as you can tell.
I thought you just like to wear the shirt.
No, I'll wear it. I'll wear it when I go to work, and I'll wear it during my disc golf tournaments. But I don't just wear polos hanging out.
I don't believe you.
No, I don't. It's fine.
Hey guys, send Aaron your polo shirts. He loves them.
I mean, you can. I wear them basically every day, but it's to work. So we got this new guy. His name's Evan. He's kind of a baseball guy. We were talking, and we talked a little bit about, okay, who would you rather play in a wild card game? Would you rather play the Dodgers or would you rather play the Giants? And I made that argument. It's I'd much rather play the Dodgers.
Yeah, me too.
Exactly what we said. I'd rather just beat them once and be thank God, and then move on to San Francisco. And I was looking at the Cardinals' records against them this year. They're 3-4 against the Dodgers. They're 4-2 against San Francisco.
3-4 against the Dodgers?
3-4.
Yeah. I was thinking they've won 3 out of 4. I was like, that doesn't sound right at all. Yeah, no,
they're 3-4 against the Dodgers. They're 4-2 against San Francisco, and that kind of adds to this conversation that we've talked about. I'd much rather just try to beat LA once and move on. It's they're both 100. Okay, they're both 100-game winners. San Francisco should not be this good.
No,
they have a lot of guys that are they're performing in a way that they've never done in a 10-year career.
Yeah,
no, absolutely not. They've got guys that have been in the playoffs before, and they have that leadership. I would still much rather play San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But that's been shown this year. We're 4-2 against San Francisco, whereas we're 3-4 against the Dodgers. On paper, the Dodgers are clearly the better team.
Mm-hmm.
Who's in San Francisco's pitching staff?
Well,
exactly.
Yeah.
You've got Kevin Gausman, who has been in the league for how many years, and this is the first year he's done anything relatively successful. Right. And then I'd much rather face Kevin Gausman than face Scherzer, Kershaw, Buehler, and then potentially have to do that again.
Yeah.
So
for those of you who are confused about what we're saying, and so anyway, at the radio station too, we had Kevin Wheeler in the studio, and I asked him that same question: who would you rather face? And he is of the mind that he would rather face the Dodgers in the 1-game playoff, and then the Giants or whoever else, in the other series. And that was exactly his point. I would rather face Scherzer once than Scherzer twice. And, you know what I'm saying? You have to beat them multiple times.
It's not even just Scherzer. It's Scherzer and then Buehler and then Kershaw and then Scherzer again. Like,
yep.
That's 3 guys that I don't want to face once, let alone 5 times possibly. Like it's not, they're not putting themselves in a position to make a run. If the Cardinals want to make a run, you'd much rather get rid of the Dodgers as quickly as possible, and then move on to the next teams that are available. Whether it be San Francisco, whether it be Atlanta, if they do anything, which the NL East is bad.
Yeah, I thought Atlanta was going to run away with it, but
is at least good on paper,
decent.
I feel like Atlanta's one of those teams that very underperformed this year, and yet are still leading the division, and that's because the rest of the division sucks.
Sucks something awful.
They're so bad. Remember the Mets were practicing World Series winning dance moves. Okay, how'd that go for you, big sheets? The Mets are the Mets and the Padres. Yeah. They both went out and just went just throwing dollar bills.
You know what? Though is going to be
everything we possibly can, and then both of them just absolute train wrecks for different reasons.
Yeah. What's going to be really interesting is how that playoff series is going to go. The winner of the East against the Brewers, because the Brewers haven't been playing very well at all. They've been playing
lately.
No, they've been playing bad.
So they've kind of just
come back to earth.
Held on. I guess they had a commanding lead, and all they had to do was hold on to it, and they've done that. They had such a lead in the division that a 16-game winning streak kind of made a dent,
because I think it's 4 games or whatever it was. I mean, I think they clinched because they won the game they had to win.
They would have had to lose out pretty much, and we would have had to continue winning out, and we would have won the division by 1 game.
A 16 game.
It would have been a tremendous collapse to watch that happen.
Yeah, a 16-game winning streak brought the Cardinals to within 7 of the division lead. That's how big the lead was.
Yeah,
in there. Cardinals' magic number to clinch though in the playoffs is 1.
Yeah, all we need is a win, or Cincinnati/Philly has to lose.
Yeah,
which Cincinnati already won today, so regardless, they've got 1 more day.
That's why it's 1, right? Because
it's either
it would have been
one or the other.
Yeah, it would have been 1.5 if they would have been eliminated, and then it would still be a magic number of 1. It would just be the Phillies.
Yeah, the combination of both of those teams, I don't see St. Louis dropping 6 in a row.
I say that too. I don't see that. They're gonna probably get 1 against the Brewers at least, and maybe 1 against the Cubs.
You've got 6 games at home after going on a 16-game winning streak.
Yeah.
Busch Stadium is probably going to be as rocking as it has been this entire season.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So, they're feeding off of this. You can see it. Watching Harrison Bader lose his mind in the dugout and watching those kids behind him banging on the dugout.
Yeah.
There's an energy that this team has that they haven't had for the majority of the season.
Yeah. Yeah. For the entire season.
It would not shock me at all if they won out.
And I'm
awesome.
I don't know if you believe in luck or whatever when it comes to baseball, but it seems like they've been getting the breaks that they haven't been getting all season long. So was it yesterday's game that fly ball dropped in the 9th, the pop fly? And setting aside all the stuff that umpire at second base did wrong and how the Cardinals played it and all that other stuff, earlier in the season they would have lost. The next guy would have gotten a base hit in that game. They would have lost. Then there was that crazy, whatever the Cubs were doing base running, the double play that went to everybody except for Tyler O'Neill, who stood there with his hat off watching the play.
But, did that actually have to go down that way, though?
No. Really, they should have gotten the guy at third in a rundown. Who was it? Was it Bodie? They should have tagged Bodie out in the rundown, and then nobody else should have been out.
But it was hit the Goldschmidt in a way, like, couldn't he have just taken, like, one step back, hit the bag, and still thrown home? Like I feel like a combination of events took place, and it made it look spectacular, and I'm like, I feel like that could have been taken care of easier. Like, I don't know.
Maybe, but if you're Goldschmidt, are you turning your back to the guy running home?
I don't know. Like,
no, I'm not taking that chance. So the throw home was right to me. And then, like, why it was the runner on second base who messed everything up, because I watched Zach Silver tweeted out the whole video of it, and the runner at second base, as the runner going to first was looking at him, broke like he was going toward third, and then he just stopped, and the runner at second, or the runner who was going to first, just rounded first and kept going. He's like, well, that guy's going to go to third, they're going to get the out, we're going to have third and second, and whatever it was, 1 out, 2 outs, and we'll have a chance to get it.
It was bizarre.
And so that guy gets like 2/3 of the way there, and he's like, oh, he didn't run, and he's back on the base. And so he turned around. Well, that's when Nolan Arenado got him in the rundown. Yeah. And then the runner at second's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take off. And so he takes off, and so they get him in the rundown, and then they get him out, and then it was just utter chaos. But, back to my original point.
I did think it was funny that Edman gets the guy in the rundown and then decides to go after the guy in the rundown going to third. I'm like, I feel like you could just get this guy out that you're already in a rundown with. Again, there's so many things going on that I'm like you guys got the outs, but like I feel like there were so many things they could have just done differently. I don't know.
The idea
it was a fun play to watch them.
In the way that they played it, they were playing it safe. They always wanted to get the lead runner out before anybody else, because if that runner between first and second gets in a rundown, well, if he can keep it in the rundown for that guy to score, then that guy scores. Yeah. So, and that's your job when you get into a rundown, is to allow the rest of the guys to advance or them to make them throw it away. So, yeah, that was a cool play. It was fun to watch, but it was like indicative of where the season is going, right? Or where this team is and them being hot. Same thing with that play. And so, let's break down that play from the 9th inning, the pop fly. So I saw a couple guys on
so many things.
I saw some guys on Twitter be like, well, if this team were solid fundamentally, they would have known it wasn't a force out and blah, blah, blah. Okay, first of all, you're playing, at Wrigley Field where the fans are on top of you.
Yeah,
and
good luck hearing that guy calling field
you're not going to hear it. So in my brain,
job then is to look at the base paths. One, the runners are going.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So here's my thing, right? So when you break this play down, you look, Nolan Arenado is looking up at the ball. Andrew Kisner's looking up at the ball. The pitcher's looking up at the ball. All three of those guys are looking at the ball because they all potentially could make a play on it. Behind Arenado, so nobody's looking at the umpire. That's the umpire that makes the infield fly call. So DeYoung does what he's supposed to do, and he goes and covers third. So he covers third. The ball lands in fair territory. Arenado throws it to third. That's the right throw because he still could have tagged the guy out. DeYoung should have tagged that guy out if DeYoung knew that it was infield fly. Obviously, he didn't know it was an infield fly call, or he didn't hear it.
So, yeah, if you don't hear that it's an infield fly call, what are you playing it as?
Right.
The ball hit fair territory. Runners are going to start going. I'm going to catch this ball and then throw to second and get this double play.
We're going to get this double play. Exactly what he was thinking. But not knowing that there was already an out recorded. So DeYoung throws it to second base, and Tommy Edman's at second base, and this is where the umpire screws up, right? The umpire actually calls the guy out, Ortega, going to second base, calls him out. Well, Ortega runs past second base, and so if you watch the video, you can see Goldschmidt pointing to Edman, telling him, tag him, tag him, tag him, tag him, which Edman does, but not before the second base umpire calls timeout. Which, why does he even need to call timeout if that was going to be the second out of the inning? Right? If that wasn't an infield fly, there was a force at third and a force at second, double play, innings over. You don't need to call timeout after that. But because that umpire called the guy out incorrectly and then called timeout, Edman's tag was ruled null and void, and the time was out, even though Ortega was standing halfway in between second and third, which you should never call timeout when there's a runner off the bases like that anyway. So, So anyway,
watching it, I was dumbfounded.
yeah.
I was like, why is...
But
it's like runners advance at their own risk.
But, and
Like,
earlier in
why-
the season, that would have shut, the players would have shut down, we should have been out of this, blah, 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 blah. And you can see them not getting that third out. But Gio kept his mental composure, came back and got the out.
To be fair, shouldn't have been there in the first place. Stop walking people.
Yes.
Stop it. Like, I looked it up. When I started
They've set
looking
the
up-
record.
Like, when I start looking up stats, believe me, you've done something wrong. Gio, opposing hitters are hitting 179 off of you. When you walk them, their on-base percentage is 1,000.
Right.
Take the 179, my dude.
Yeah.
And
Well-
both of those walks were like one strike, and then the other pitches were just bad.
That's
The first one, I think, he threw 2 strikes and then threw 4 straight balls in the dirt, or 4 straight sliders away. Like, hey, buddy, you've got 2 pitches. You blew the fastball by him twice. What is he expecting? He's going to expect
slider away.
Ball, and so he's looking for that breaking ball away. Where'd you throw it? Breaking ball away. Okay. And now he's looking for it. And that's what you did 3 straight times after that. And you just walk him. Like, he's not getting challenged. Like, what you should do? Throw that slider middle in. Throw it on the inside part of the plate, and he is not going to be ready for that.
Well, and that's
then
the
punch him out
thing.
that way. Like, stop blocking people.
That's the thing about Giovanni Gonzalez. He's incredibly Gallegos. He's incredibly predictable whenever he gets 2 outs or 2 strikes on you.
Yeah.
He gets 2 strikes. He's going slider away, low and outside. Slider away, slider away, slider away. And everybody in the league knows that, so they're not swinging at it. So what you need to do is break up that predictability. You throw a slider at them that breaks into a strike.
Too.
Yeah, throw an 0-2 up and in fastball, something up that, change their eye level. Maybe you get them to swing, but what they won't be doing is diving out over the plate for the slider. They won't be spitting on the slider. If you can paint the inside corner or paint it up and in, you're going to get the outs, and then that's going to make that slider away a lot more effective because it's not predictable.
Yeah. I mean, like I've said this once, I've said it a million times. Walks are such a crutch to this team. This team wants entirely too many batters. They're like they've done really well as of late, and I'm going to address this tweet that I sent out here in a minute. But they've done a good job of battling back, especially recently. But there are a lot of times where pitchers put a guy on and put another guy on, and I'm like, oh man, don't be surprised if this guy hits a double in the gap and 2 runs score.
Yeah.
Because you just put 2 guys on. Like, stop doing that. Like, and then sure enough, it'll happen. But at least during this winning streak, what the Cardinals have done very well is I did a breakdown of the runs scored by inning. And
yeah, I saw that.
They scored a ton of runs in the first inning, and then the 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Mm-hmm.
So especially the 7th, 8th, and 9th. Like, I think 1, 7, 8, and 9 were the 4 highest scoring. So what that tells me is that they're scoring early, and then at the end of the game, they're pouring runs on.
Right.
And as of late, there's been a couple games here recently where like, oh no, the streak might end, and then all of a sudden they're pouring runs on in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning when they get to the bullpens, and then just absolutely like it's. I don't remember who tweeted this out, but it's like they're not just beating teams; they're demoralizing teams.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
There have been a couple times where they've been down to the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, and you're like, oh man, they're down by a couple, and then all of a sudden it's like 8-5. You're like, what?
Oh, what? Yeah.
What just happened?
Yeah. It was that game against the Brewers that Waino started.
Yeah, that was one for sure.
I remember that one because we were in studio and we can't really watch the game, so I'm getting updates and alerts on my phone, and it's like 4-1, 4-1, 4-1. I'm like, oh well, I'm just not going to follow it that close. And after the show, I went out and one of the other producers was out there, and he's like, think that winning streak's about to come to an end. I'm like, yeah, you know what, though? If you'd have told me we would have taken 3 or 4 against the Brewers, I'd have said, oh, yeah, yes, sir, take it every day of the week, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, what did we say going into it? I'm like, just split the series.
Split it. Yeah, just split it. It'll be fine. And the Cardinals like, I'll see that and raise you 2 wins. But anyway, so I went in the back. I went and started working on some audio editing that I had to do. And my phone alert goes off, and I look down, and it's like, oh, it's 7-5. And I'm like, and I read it wrong. I thought, well, the Cardinals have 5 runs now, but the Brewers still have 7, and they've added on, right? And then I looked, and I'm like, wait a minute. And the next thing you know, the Cardinals win that game. I'm like, who is this team? But it's weird to me because I feel like, and I don't know if you feel this way, but whenever I'm watching them play, it feels like they are never out of it now. Like, you almost expect them to come back.
That was me yesterday during that game. I was like, I've seen them here recently make some late pushes. Like Woodford had a decent enough start, only gave up 2 runs. I'm like, it's only 2-1. Like, it wouldn't shock me if they found a way to put some runs on the board. And like, I had the game cast on, and I was like, man, it'd be really cool if Bader hit a home run to tie it here. And then like, I walked away and I came back and I was just like, Bader just hit a home run to tie it. Like, what just happened? Like, I'm like, I just spoke this into existence. And then wild pitch and something else later, I'm like, it's 4-2. And I'm like, well, that was easy. I didn't even take much effort.
Yeah.
Like the fight in this team right now is fantastic. Like you love to see it.
Yeah.
Wasn't spectacularly, or wasn't what's the word I'm thinking of? Like, wasn't overly
dramatic,
impressed by Flaherty's 2 outs that he.
No, I wanted to ask you about
Hudson
that.
Looked fine.
Hudson looked strong.
Like I did like, I definitely liked what I saw from Hudson more than I liked from Flaherty, but I don't. If you were only going to use him for like 15 pitches, why use him?
Because they can't send him down for a rehab assignment, and they're just wanting to get him some.
That's fine. Throw bullpens.
Well,
why put
bullpens
him in game action, especially this late in the year, to get an inning of work? Like, no, absolutely not. Especially when he's not, like, he wasn't that sharp in that game either. Like, this is not the time to just get him some work. Like, no, you're trying to make a playoff.
No, I don't think that
16-game winning streak.
I don't think that they're
cement that. Like,
I don't think they were just trying to get him some work.
4 innings,
no, I don't think they were just trying to get him work. I think that they're trying to build him up because they're going to use him in the playoffs. Not as a starter, he's going to have to come out of the bullpen, but they need to get him strong enough to do that. But if he gets strong enough, he makes this bullpen way better if he can be any semblance of himself, even if it's only for 2 or 3 innings.
I mean, if he can give you 2 or 3 innings, do 3 innings of him and then 3 innings of Hudson. Don't put him out there for 15 pitches.
Well, he's not ready for that. They got to build him up.
That's totally fine.
But you can't.
Don't put him in game scenarios to get him 15 pitches. Like there are better ways to do that.
He had 19. But the point is they wanted to get him back.
He didn't get out of the first.
No, he didn't.
Like
no,
that's not
no,
good.
and what did he do? He struck out the first 2 and then got into trouble or something like that.
Yeah, he gave up 2 runs. I don't remember exactly what happened, but yeah he got a couple guys out and then, oh crap.
I just don't want him to rush him back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand.
Like, it seems like they're rushing him back if they're willing to throw him out there in an in-game scenario to get an inning. Like,
and it might be too that they're kind of feeling it out because you're getting close to that crunch time where you have to make roster decisions. And you may have to leave him off the playoff roster if he's not healthy because you can't waste that pitching spot. And so maybe that's what they're trying to
do. Do you think that that Matt Carpenter makes the playoff roster?
I think he absolutely does.
Yeah, I mean, he will, but
not based on this year's performance.
You know what's crazy? Like, this team and what they've been capable of the last few weeks, and went on a 16-game winning streak, not hitting streak. But they went on a 16-game winning streak. Paul Goldschmidt's played phenomenal. You got Nolan Arenado. Tyler O'Neill is turning into an absolute stud. And we didn't even have to use Liberatore or Gorman this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
What? Like, what is going on? Like,
Well, it's like you said, the future's bright.
Oh, it's crazy.
You know, you could have a rotation that could realistically have Flaherty and if Liebertor pans out, Liebertor in there and Hudson and, you know, you could have a really good rotation for years
Honestly,
to come.
I've been fairly happy with what I've seen from Michaelis in his last couple starts, too.
Uh-huh.
He's pitched a little bit better, and he's given up more walks in these, like, this year than he had in the last couple of years. But, like, even still, him giving up 2 walks compared to Gant giving up 7, like, fine with it. It's not that big a deal. Like, I still like his approach because of what you have behind you.
Hey, we got a question here from Blake.
Ooh, questions.
He said Power Rankings just came out ranking Cardinals as the 9th best team in baseball. Do you agree with the rankings? Feel like they should be higher? Feel like it was generous just because of the Cardinals' run?
I saw that one. I saw another one that, I don't know, some writer for MLB had Cardinals like 5, and I'm like, that is entirely too high. like you want to play the hot hand, and as of right now, like if you really want to, like if you're going to talk about like recent stretch and like how much that plays into it, the Cardinals should be number 1, especially given who they've beaten. Like they took, they've taken 4 from Milwaukee. They've literally won 16 games in a row. So, I mean, if you're going to go based on power rankings and who's playing the best baseball right now, Cardinals should be number 1. But as a whole, like, even on paper, this team still has some spots of like no offense to Tommy Edman, still not the greatest leadoff hitter I've ever seen.
No.
Fun fact: I've never been off this train, but Bader should probably be leading off.
I don't understand power rankings in general because what I'm looking at is records, right? And so who are the 9 best team? Who are 9 better teams than the Cardinals right now?
Based on, on
the standings, 8 teams that are better than the Cardinals.
Okay. Like, sure, I'll do this game. So I would say Milwaukee.
Milwaukee's ahead of them.
Based on that, Yankees, Red Sox, Tampa Bay, Houston. Who's in the AL West that's good? I don't remember. Or Houston is in the AL West.
So
AL Central. Who's leading the Central? White Sox.
White Sox.
Sox will be ahead of them. In the National League, it wouldn't shock me if they put the Braves ahead of them, even though the Braves.
Yeah, the Cardinals would be leading the division.
Yeah, they would be leading that division by like 3 games. It's hilarious. Who else in the National League? Dodgers, San Francisco. I mean, I just named 7, like right there. Like, it wouldn't shock me.
So you've got Milwaukee, San Francisco, the Dodgers in the West, or in the National League.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. In the National
3.
League, I think that lines up fairly well.
And then, what are the Cardinals, 87? Tampa Bay, the White Sox, Houston, the Yankees.
You could argue Toronto. I think Toronto has the same record.
Toronto has the same record. So, the Yankees and Boston are ahead, but the Red Sox are only ahead by one game.
I mean, but like, if you look at that power rankings, I feel like those teams are still ahead of them. So, I mean, if you look at where they rank in as far as records and as far as power rankings, I think 8 to 10, I feel like you could probably flop any of them and you wouldn't be wrong, I guess. And I think in most scenarios, if you look at like a 1 to 3 game difference, it's like you're kind of splitting hairs at that point. Like, especially this late in the year, it's like, it's like 1 or 2 games. Like, it's not that crazy. Honestly, I mean, it's still a lot better than the 15 that they've been for like the last 6 weeks.
Right.
I mean, for a very long time, they were the definition of mediocre. They were like right in the middle. So they've been able to go on this run. They've won some ball games, and now suddenly they find themselves in a lot better position. And so I think 9 is at least better.
Nine's pretty good, and I would say that only because they don't have the track record. Had they played like this for more of the year, I don't want to say all
they
the
would
year.
have broken the major league record for wins.
Yeah, all of them.
Like everyone. It's just like you want how many in a row? Like that's crazy. Like,
yeah, 162. No.
Yeah. I mean, I did
so-
that on MLB The Show. Oh, or not MLB The Show. I'm gonna a little bit of my age. MLB 2K, but like 2K5.
Yeah.
That was dude. That was my game where you had the K Zone on there. Oh
Yeah.
dude. I made countless franchises and went countless franchises where I went like 162-0 and had
Yeah.
like I remember one game that I literally hit like 130 runs. It was awesome.
So we're talking about that power rankings. That was a good question, Blake. Thanks for jumping in and asking that. If let's just do this for fun here. Do you want to hear from a team that's not better than the Cardinals that thought that they were?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm super
Okay.
down for that.
Let me go ahead and just add this to the stream and make this full screen, and hopefully you guys can hear it. I'll make sure I got my audio on. Settings. Okay.
Oh, it's very faint.
Yeah.
Heard that.
And then what
I'm
happened?
I'm gonna save too much clapback until we've actually clinched the second spot. But like,
Yeah.
how'd you like that? I liked it a lot. Actually, we actually just made history
Yeah.
with a franchise record 16 game winning streak, and it's not even over. Like,
Yeah.
it could keep going. So I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah. So that's Joey Votto, for those of you wondering, and that was back in, I believe, June. Yeah, June 8th of this year, and it was right after the Cardinals got swept by the Reds at St. Louis.
Who's starting tomorrow for St. Louis?
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Would that be like Hap or Lester? Probably Hap.
Who started yesterday?
Woodford? Yeah.
It can't be Wayno's turn already.
Wayno.
Wayno?
Yep.
Ooh.
Wayno and Woodruff.
Oh, you know what that means? That totally means he's going to get 2 more starts. He's going to have like 215 innings.
That's going to be awesome.
It's going to be hilarious. Like, his last start wasn't great, but hey, you know what? We won. Who cares? Like,
You know, Daniel Ponce de Leon isn't part of the team anymore, but he left the Fountain of Youth back for Wainwright. And that's a deep history joke. If you guys get that, good for you. If you don't get it, then you need to go back and read a history book.
yeah, I mean, a quick touch on that. Yeah, so Ponce he cleared waivers and then was granted his unconditional release. So evidently he wanted out, and the Cardinals went, okay.
That or the Cardinals are like,
Well, I mean,
we thought somebody would pick you up.
Well, I mean, they outrighted him to Memphis. Like,
Yeah. So,
I feel like that would have just been the first corresponding move. Not like,
Yeah.
hey, we're going to move you to Memphis, but also like, we don't want you here. Like, I feel like they would have just. I feel like the tweet would have read, Daniel Ponce de Leon has cleared waivers. We have granted him his unconditional release. Like, I feel like it would have been just one continuous, hey, he cleared waivers. There's a mutual passing here. Not, we're going to send you to Memphis and then give it a day or two. Like I feel like there was definitely some. I just feel like he didn't want to sit in the minors anymore.
No, probably not.
I feel like he was ready to potentially get a job somewhere else. It's going to be kind of tough this late in the year, though.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a shame though, because I did like him, and I wish him best whatever happens, if he makes a comeback or if he's done with baseball.
He showed promise in a lot of different ways, but he, like a lot of guys his age, when they're coming up through the system, like, I don't know, like, there's just so many guys that miss. And it's like, you can have all the talent in the world, but some of these guys, like, it just doesn't fully translate, and he's just kind of one of those guys.
Yeah.
Where, like, you should promise, but, like, he was never really considered a highly ranking prospect. Gets a chance to get called up, pitches okay, manages to come in and out of the bullpen, make some spot starts, has an opportunity to earn some more time, but just, doesn't perform. It just kind of is what it is.
It's kind of that Anthony, was it Anthony Reyes back in 2006?
Yeah, I think so.
That Anthony Reyes type who had a lot of success in the minors because he could strike guys out, but he was a fastball pitcher, but his fastball was like 93, which was, BP for major leaguers.
I mean, Gallegos only throws like 94, 95.
Yeah.
It's
but
like
Gallegos lives and dies by the slider, not by the fastball. Right?
I mean, he throws strikes with the fastball.
Yeah, his fastball isn't his out pitch. With Anthony Reyes, his fastball was his out pitch.
Yeah.
So, and he just didn't, I mean, it was a straight 93. It wasn't a 93 with movement or anything like that. So, anyway, we're rolling up on that hour mark. You got anything else you want to add, or?
I mean, nothing too crazy. I mean, we kind of touched on everything that I wanted to talk about. Wanted to do like the quick preview for the Brewers thing.
Okay,
That's why I was like, who's starting? Like, you've got Waino in game one.
Waino and Woodruff in game one.
We're gonna miss Corbin Burns and Freddie Peralta.
Can't complain about that.
Super happy about that. But also, like, we're notoriously bad at hitting against people we've never seen before. So, like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Michaelis and Hauser for game two.
That'll be a good game, I think.
And then TBD against TBD in game three, which I'm sure will be Hap. I think Hap is next after Michaelis. So you might get to see Lester go against the Cubbies again.
They might be playing that for a reason.
Yeah.
You did it at Wrigley. Now do it at Busch.
Yep.
I mean, these games because they're making them kind of cheap, but I'm also cheap myself.
Yeah, they are making them a lot cheap, like $5 and $10. Now, $1 from every ticket, and I do want to touch on this before we go. $1 from every ticket is going to go to help support Waino's charity.
Yeah.
So if you guys were on the fence about going to a game, and I know Aaron and I had talked about this earlier, it's like, I don't know if this team is worth us spending our money on going to see. But
they definitely are now.
They are now, and not only that, you can do some good by buying a ticket. So you get to, it's a win-win-win, right? You get to buy a cheap ticket to see a really good ball team play in crucial games. So you get to see meaningful September baseball for a cheap price, and then part of what you buy goes to help a charity. So it's a win-win-win. So if you don't get a chance to do that, I mean, if you have the money or if you have a chance, go ahead and get out there and watch them. And then the other thing I wanted to say was make sure you guys leave a like on our page on the stream. If you're watching on YouTube, click the thumbs up button. If you're watching on Facebook, leave a like. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. That always helps us. And we really appreciate all the participation. I'm sorry I couldn't get to everybody with your comments, but we see them all. We try to read them all. We try to stay up with them, but sometimes the conversation doesn't go there. Also, the Blues are playing tonight in their second preseason game. They're playing against Dallas. Right now, Dallas is leading 1-0 at the end of the first. That was 9 minutes ago, so they haven't started the second. So we're going to get out of here just in time for you to watch some hockey, too.
Quick Blues question only because of my own curiosity. I'm not the biggest hockey guy. I listen to just enough 101 ESPN to be like sort of relevant in the conversation.
To sound like you know what you're talking about?
Right. Like I sound intelligent enough about hockey sometimes, but like it's all fake. But like how are we feeling so far about Tarasenko and like what he could possibly add?
So Tarasenko,
like, he wasn't traded. Like he's still there.
Vladimir Tarasenko.
What's your expectations for him? Like be a fourth line guy?
No, I think he's going to get some serious ice time. And if he's healthy, I think you're going to see him play well. One of the things that I forget who I was talking to about it, but one of the things that they said was they were watching him out on the ice during practice, during games, or during scrimmages and stuff like that, and he's very upbeat and positive with the teammates, so he's not going to be a disaster in the locker room. He's not going to act. He understands that the reason, because the Blues did try to accommodate his trade request, so he understands that the reason the Blues weren't able to, move him to another team was because he wasn't good enough for them to move. He was too much money and not enough talent. I don't want to say not enough talent, but not enough production last year and the year before with the injuries for any team to give the Blues anything worthwhile for him. So if he does still want to get traded, what he's going to end up having to do is he's going to have to play well. So hopefully what we see out of him is we see second line stuff. But the Blues have picked up some guys. They're going to be tough this year. I know there was one guy on Twitter
that's kind of where my question stemmed from, is with their acquisitions, is he actually going to be able to get that much ice time with who's ahead of him now?
If he plays up to his ability, he absolutely will. He absolutely will. And if the Blues are thinking about moving him, they're going to have to give him some ice time to give him that opportunity to let other teams see him. I was talking to some guy on Twitter. I just, made a comment on one of Ben Frederickson's tweets after the game. I was like, this team's going to be pretty good, isn't it? And this guy is like, no. He's a Wild fan. He's like, the Wild didn't play anybody, so you can't. And it's like, I'm not making my decision based off of what I saw on the ice.
You're like, first off, why are you commenting on my comment on a St. Louis sports writer? You troll.
Because he's a hockey fan, and that's what we do.
That's fair.
We talk the trash. There's a great follow on hockey Twitter for Blues. Her name's Leah. I think it's Leah at Leah CK.
I think I've seen her on there quite a bit.
She trolls the snot out of teams in a good way, not in a mean or malicious way.
I do like the random tweets that Cardinals Twitter goes on, like, opposing teams whenever, like, the final comes out. Like, I love seeing that. It's absolutely hilarious. Also, quick side note before we end. I do think you should reconsider joining the Arkansas bandwagon, because the boys are playing well, man.
They are playing well, and as soon as I get on that bandwagon,
maybe that's Well, and here's the thing:
so
this week may not be the best week, because, like, very similar to the week prior, I'm like, the fact that I think it's the AP poll, Arkansas moved up to number 8, and I'm like, that is entirely too high.
I'm sorry, what?
8. I'm like, no. Like, because going into it, I'm like, I thought Texas was overrated. Yeah, we beat Texas, which was awesome. But I thought Texas was overrated. So I'm like, okay, maybe, like, we break into the top 25 is what it is. Now we're facing number 7 Texas A&M, and everyone's like, oh, Texas A&M, top 10 team with their backup quarterback.
Yeah.
That is huge. So the fact that we beat them isn't saying, oh, yeah, we beat Texas A&M. No. We stopped the backup quarterback from doing something.
Yeah.
No. Like, please don't move us into the top 10. Please. Like we were 16, I think, going into that game. I'm like, move us to, like, 12.
So I'm going to be honest with you. Here's why I can't root for Arkansas. I cannot root for a team whose chant is "Woo Pig Suey."
Dude, you haven't seen them when they call the Hogs.
Listen, it doesn't matter. I grew up on a farm. Calling the Hogs will always be calling the Hogs.
Yeah, and guess what?
It's work, not fun.
I'm telling you, like, we need to go to a game and watch it happen. It's intense.
So whenever Wheeler was in studio, he's like, "Well, you should try Mizzou."
No, Mizzou's terrible.
Well, I just watched Mizzou lose in overtime to Boston College, who they had no business losing to.
Yeah.
Annie, the host of the show that I work on, she is recruiting me hard for Notre Dame.
No, absolutely not.
But Notre Dame upsets me, and the reason Notre Dame upsets me is because, like this weekend,
they're consistently overhyped.
I can't even watch their game because they're streaming on Peacock.
Yeah, don't do it.
Can't watch the game. So if I can't watch the games, how can I get excited about it?
You have Spectrum, right?
I do.
SEC Network, man.
Like, I have SEC Network.
That's what I'm saying.
That's Mizzou, and I mean, there's so many teams in the SEC I could root for.
But here's the thing with Arkansas, though. They are consistently decent at most other sports. Basketball, we made it to the Elite 8 last year. We've got one of the best recruiting classes. We've got one of the best transfer classes. Eric Musselman is doing work in the Arkansas basketball program. Okay?
Darren says Alabama, and Darren,
no.
Listen, Darren, absolutely not.
No.
There's only one
bandwagon Alabama fans that have never even been to Alabama.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. There is one college football team that I have an emotional response to, and it's Alabama, and it's not a positive response.
Right.
I don't like them. I don't really like Clemson all that much, even though I like. No. Was it Dabo Swinney? I do kind of like him.
Yeah.
And listen, Nick Saban makes me laugh.
Quotes. He has one of the best quotes that I still like actually hold pretty dear to me. It's just I don't worry about the opinions of people that I wouldn't seek advice from. I'm like, yo, that is gangster, man. That is awesome. Definitely. Why do I care what they think? I wouldn't come to them for advice.
So
screw those guys. That's baller, dude.
So Kevin, when we asked Kevin, should I root? What team should I root for? I was fully on expecting him saying, Miami, because Kevin Wheeler is a Miami grad and he's a big Canes fan.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh no, absolutely not. We're horrible.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
So anyway, I'm still taking applications. So if you have a college,
Brad, I have one. I will send it to you.
I'm still taking applications. If you're a college football fan, you can send them to me on Twitter @RangeBrad. It's right down there on the bottom of the screen.
I didn't even get to the next sport, baseball. This is a baseball podcast.
Listen, I'm just going to go ahead and mute you and just there.
Go in the chat too. I'll go in the chat if I have to. Arkansas was the number one team in baseball last year for the majority of the season. Look at the last decade.
And then
Arkansas
what happened?
Is
Listen, this isn't about baseball or football or anything. It's like college basketball. I'm an Illini fan.
All right, that's fine.
Okay, through and through.
They did really good last year.
Yeah, college baseball. I'm gonna root for the Illini, even though they're okay.
They have a team.
Yep.
Cool.
Barely, but it's there. I'm gonna go ahead and root for them. But college football Illinois football doesn't have the atmosphere, the anything like that I can't get into. So
they haven't had that atmosphere since Rashard Mendenhall. That right there, that is a deep cut reference. Look that up.
I remember Rashard Mendenhall.
He was
you want to know how long ago that I remember them? I remember Kirk Kittner and Brandon Lloyd.
But speaking back to Rashard Mendenhall was a running back for the Illini when, oh my God, it was it was the year of running backs. Going back to Arkansas, we had Darren McFadden, Felix Jones, Peyton Hillis ended up doing something in the NFL. He ended up being on the cover of Madden somehow.
Yeah, he went to Cleveland.
But then you got Rashard Mendenhall, who ended up, I think, getting drafted first round to Pittsburgh. You had Jonathan Stewart, who was a stud for Oregon, who got drafted in the first round. It's there are running backs all over the country that were just absolute studs.
Yep.
And none of them did anything in the NFL. None of them. None. I know this because I drafted at least one of them and did nothing in my fantasy football drafts. Yep. It was the worst.
I remember my best fantasy football pickup was Adrian Peterson, his rookie year. I picked him up with my very last pick. And Tyler Lauderdale picked up because there were two Adrian Petersons. So I remember Adrian Peterson being. Do you remember that?
Yeah. No, there was definitely two.
Tyler Lauderdale drafted the other one, thinking he was the one that I picked.
Yeah, he was with Chicago.
Yeah. So I remember Adrian Peterson from that game when they played Boise State, which I loved rooting for Boise State because they were fun there for a while. But they ran the Statue of Liberty play
against the Sooners, man.
Yeah, and beat them. But Adrian Peterson was in that game, and that was his last college game, and he was kind of coming off an injury or whatever, and so nobody picked him up. And I'm like, you know what? I got one pick left. I'll take a flyer on him. And then, so I had, I forget the other running back, because I had the other running back for the Vikings.
Oh, at that time, yeah, I do not remember.
But he was tearing it up, and then he got hurt, and I was like, well, I got his backup, Adrian Peterson. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he was stunned for a while. Yeah.
All right.
I'll say we should probably wrap it up soon. I am on currently, you know how I said 40% when we started?
Yeah, 4?
3.
3. Okay. So yeah,
it's
guys.
still alive. But
if Aaron goes dead, let's just hit these socials real quick. Again, leave a like, subscribe, follow. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. So you can follow us on Twitter at @mutual_suspects. You can also follow us individually. Let me put that back up there. At @mutual_suspects. You can also follow us individually. You can follow me at Range Brad. You can follow Aaron at Aaron M STL. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/mutual suspects, no spaces. And then you can also find us on YouTube. YouTube search Mutual Suspects, and we'll pop right up, and we'll have a picture of the statue of Stan Musial on it, and you'll know it's us. Just go ahead and click that subscribe. Might as well turn the notifications on while you're at it, because those notifications will let you know whenever we go live. And then you won't ever miss an episode. All right? So thanks for joining us, guys. We really enjoy having you guys on. We enjoy your comments.
It's nice on off days because more people seem to engage on off days.
Yeah, and that's why we shoot for Mondays, because generally Mondays and Thursdays are the off days. So anyway, we will catch you guys next time, possibly next week. Or if not,
we'll make sure to try to update you guys. Today I was not on Twitter at all, so I didn't even bother sending anything out. It is what it is. I'll do it better next time.
So thanks again for watching. We'll catch you guys next time. I'm Brad.
And I'm Aaron.
And you've been watching The Usual Suspects. And